You're listening to the Plastering Podcast, episode 5, with myself, Stu Roberts. Today, I'm joined by Plasterer Jason Currill, and we're going to have a chat about the booze, about alcohol, and why Jason has chose to go alcohol-free. Jason is a plasterer. He's an old-school plasterer. We were chatting yesterday. He was telling me a few stories about the tin bath and about some of the abuse that he suffered from his gaffer, which was quite funny. So we'll have a bit of a chinwag about that. Jason's put together a Facebook community called Why Is Life Better Without Alcohol, which is thriving. Is that the right name, Jace? Why is life better?
No, life's better.
Life is better. Life is better without alcohol. And that's growing in numbers quite rapidly.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Get involved with this chat. It's going to be a good one today, guys. I'll jump in and get some comments a bit later on. Jason, how are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, Stu. Thank you.
Good. Jace, why is life better without alcohol?
Life's better without alcohol because you'll be happier and healthier, basically.
Happier and healthier. Nice one. Goes without saying, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So your backstory then. We had a bit of a chat yesterday. You told me a few funny stories about when you were a young lad, when you were an apprentice. I don't think the young lads would survive half the stuff you went through. I mean, I went through a hard time, but when I speak to plasterers of your generation, the stories they tell me, it's quite shocking, really. So you take us back in time to when you first started plastering then. What was your journey like into the plastering trade?
Yeah, well, I was mixing up in the old tin bath when I had a hole in it as well. So you had to put a bit of powder in before you put the water in, else it would go everywhere.
Yeah.
When you think how tight he was, he wouldn't buy me a new one. Anyway, mixing up in the tin bath, loads of browning, the big bags that go over halfway down your back. Mixing up loads of browning in the morning, turning around, skimming it with the old plunger in the afternoon.
Oh, a plunger, yeah.
Going like a nutcase all day, basically, like a whippet I was. Not an ounce of fat on me. Yeah.
I just missed the plunger, as I said. When did I start? I'm trying to think now. It'd be 99 or something like that. But the guy, the builder I worked for, had a big plastic bath.
Yeah.
And he didn't give me a rake. He gave me like a little shovel, like a planting shovel almost.
Yeah.
So it was quite a firm blade on it.
Yeah.
And I used to be knocking up the browning for him in the bath because he was a little bit old school. He had a paddle mixer, but he was insistent that I had the shovel before I got to use the paddle mixer. So he was a bit brutal like that.
Yeah.
But it sets you up strong, doesn't it?
And the rake after. Do it with the shovel first and then the rake. Did you have a rake?
Yeah.
Crazy
Brutal.
days.
But you're telling me about you got a straight edge to the back of the head.
Oh, yeah.
What was that all about?
Oh, just it was turning and hungover, drunk, and I was to get the front of it. Labourer's fault all the time, isn't it? Anything goes wrong, it's labourer's fault.
Yeah.
I remember one day I passed him his flask, and my hands were. He said, "Pass me the flask off the windowsill," and my hands are wet. And I went to give it him, and it fell out of my hand, and it fell on the floor. It's one of them old ones that shatters, and he just picked up the crate. He got off the crate what he was stood on and threw it at me, hit me in the head.
Yeah, I don't think we get away with that now, would we?
No.
So you've started off with life young into the plastering trade, and you said that's really where your drinking began, wasn't it, as a young lad? You talk about that. So you went out with the old boys drinking in the pubs.
Yeah, it was. It was a Friday afternoon. We used to go to dogs. It was a bags meeting in Oxford. We used to go to the dogs meeting. It was on a Friday afternoon. It was bloody just gambling and drinking. There you go. You've earned your money. Now go and gamble it and drink it, basically. So I was in there on a Friday afternoon having pints at 17 before I was 18,
Yeah.
And just it was like you feel part of the boys, that you feel one of the boys, don't you? You feel like you're a man.
Definitely, yeah. It's I think a lot of us start the same way, introduced to the beer that way. So at what point, I mean, you touched on in some of your videos that you do within your Facebook group about how when you're young, like 17 into your 20s, into your mid-20s, it's all fun and games and merry. And then you talk about how when you start creeping into your 30s, it can become a problem, and you become, you're almost dependent on it, and then it starts playing games up here. Could you talk about that? And is that what happened with you then? It went from being something fun to something a little bit sinister, and it started affecting your health.
Yeah. I mean, when you're
What
young,
to knock it on the head.
yeah. When you're young, it's like you think the more pints you drink, the better you are. It's like a skill, isn't it? I drank 10 pints, so I drank 12 pints. The more pints you drink, the better of a sort of you are at drinking, So that's all well and good in your 20s because you can shake them hangovers off in the morning. I remember going to work in the mornings hungover, but by 10 o'clock, you'd be good to go or good again. But as you get into your 30s, middle 30s, them hangovers start lingering and they start taking a couple of days to get over. And then you're in a low mood and your anxiety and you're depressed kind of thing. And it becomes mental health. That's mental health when you're depressed or when you're anxious or you're in a low mood because you can't shake them hangovers off.
Do you think lads aren't really putting two and two together when, like, let's say they've been drinking from a young age, hitting the cans every day, and they're getting into their mid-30s, pushing to 40, feeling like shit, tired, like you said, a little bit of anxiety and stuff like that, and they're not really putting two and two together, thinking it could be the beer that's doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I touched on that yesterday, didn't I?
Yeah.
There's people now and they're like 35 and they've been drinking the same amounts, a few cans in the week, going on it the weekend, and they get to 35 and their mood starts to dip and their motivation starts to dip and their work, everything starts to dip basically. But they're not connecting the dots. They just think, oh, well, I'm 35 now. I'm meant to be slowing down. I'm 40 now. But if you took a break from the booze, you would realize how much it is making you lethargic and lack of motivation. It just saps you when you get older. And people are just going through life thinking, well, I like drinking. I've always done it. I've done it since I was 18. And they relate it to being good times. Oh, it must be good because it was good back then. It's always been good. But when you get to 35, it's a different ball game getting over the sessions.
Yeah, sure. You touched on work there. And what would you, when it comes to drinking heavy and then getting up early, going and grafting all day, what ways is that going to affect your working life as a plasterer? I mean, you're a plasterer yourself. You've experienced it. Like you say, we can't shake these hangovers off the way we could when we're young. So, in what ways would you say it would affect work in more ways than that? Is it going to be money?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Look, when I give up alcohol, I was going in on a Monday morning, 9 out of 10 motivated, and I was putting more on in my late 40s than I was in my late 20s because I was motivated. I didn't have a hangover. So you think of all the money it's costing people when you're going in like 2 or 3 out of 10 on a Monday morning. And then on a Tuesday morning, you might be 4 or 5 out of 10. And then on a Wednesday, you might be 7. And on a Thursday, you get up to the 8s and 9s. So it's costing you all the money it costs to buy the stuff at the weekends. And then the lack of motivation at work. I tell you, if I give up drinking 20 years ago, I'd have paid my mortgage off 2 or 3 times because you're not earning half as much as you could.
No. And these days, it's not just booze, is it, that the young lads are doing?
No,
they're doing other stuff. But I mean, and then you're saying like you slowly come round in the week and feel normal. And by the time you feel normal and healthy again, you're getting back on it, aren't you? Because the weekend's approaching.
Oh God, yeah.
And then it's a cycle.
Yeah, and when I stopped drinking, I was working with a fella, and he was still drinking, and I was going in on a Monday morning thinking, God, I used to be like him. And he was like struggling and not putting the work out. And I was just going at a steady pace, but doing a lot more. And he said to me, "You'll never get me on them 0-0 beers." Because he said, "What are you doing the weekend?" I goes, "Oh, I climbed a mountain Saturday, had a few 0-0s," and he said, "You'll never get me on them." 3 months later, he come in. He was real happy on a Monday morning. He said, them 0-0s are a game changer, aren't they?" He goes, "Yeah." And I tell you what, he come in and he's on the 0-0s now, and he used to have to give his missus a lift into town to play darts midweek. And he said even the missus is driving in now, having a few 0-0s and driving back, so I don't even have to give
Brilliant.
her a lift in. So she's on it as well. So
I want to ask you about that because I've seen on your group is that you're big promoting the 0-0s a fair bit.
yeah,
And I had tried the Peronis before, and I could tell, although they were nice, I could tell straight away that, like, the difference. You don't get that little hit.
yeah,
But the missus picked up. She picked me up a couple of 0-0 Guinness after someone on your group said, "Oh, I tried one of these, and I can't tell the difference." And I had one this week, and honestly, mate, I'm not just saying this. I could not tell the difference between a genuine pint of Guinness and one of these 0-0 Guinness. And I love Guinness.
yeah.
So, lads, if you want to sort of make that transition and just test these drinks out, I'd highly recommend, if you're a Guinness lover like myself, because you like Guinness as well, don't you, Jace?
Oh, I tell you what, I was out just this Friday night. I met an old mate I've known all my life since I was 10. We went in the pub. He said, "I'm going to try them 0-0s with you." We had 4 pints of Guinness 0-0. We were looking around. We were laughing and joking. We were having the crack. And it's great that you know that you're not going to have a hangover in the morning.
Yeah.
You don't need alcohol. You do not. Once you realise that, you can just have such a good laugh. Look at all the other silly idiots getting drunk, falling around. It's great.
And I suppose you're not getting judged because you're in a pub and, you know, as everyone's concerned, you're drinking. And it's not like you're not being questioned. "Oh, well, why are you not drinking? Tell us your story." Because I suppose when you've been drinking for X amount of years and you're with your friends and then you make a decision to say, "Look, lads, I'm not drinking," you're going to probably get a bit of stick maybe, or get questioned. And was that a problem for yourself when you decided to tell your mates, "Look, I'm done"?
Yeah, it was. Well, it's the only drug. It is a drug. People don't even realise that. You get people drinking pints saying, "Oh, I like a few beers, but I never do drugs." Hey, mate, what's in the glass? It's a drug. Some people don't even realise it is a drug, and it's the worst drug out of a lot of them for family life and destruction to health and everything. But I owned it. I said, "I'm having a month off the beer." I said, "I ain't happy. It's getting me down. It's making me feel rubbish." So I just did it, and I got a lot of laughs and a lot of "you what, couldn't believe it" kind of thing. But I've had so many mates go alcohol free since I've stopped because they see me and see my health. I've lost loads of weight. I was on high blood pressure tablets. I was on high cholesterol tablets. I'm on none of that now. My cholesterol's perfect. My blood pressure's perfect. And all the other lads that were had a bit of weight and suffering, there's 2 of my best mates from school. They're 0-0s now. They've gone alcohol free. And there's other lads that I know it's catching. It's like the tide is turning now. People are realizing that it's nice to have a beer, but it's not nice to have a hangover. You can have a beer, just don't put the alcohol in it. And it's great. It's really catching now.
It's interesting you say that it's a drug, because people do just forget, don't they? Because it's legal.
Yeah.
I think they're just thinking that's just harmless. It's just, have a few beers, get merry. What's the problem? But I suppose you're right. It is a drug. You've put a few posts out on your own group, and one of them I wanted to talk about was a picture of you when you were knocking them back, and like you say, you were quite big, a lot heavier than you are today.
Yeah.
And you can see it in your face that you were unhealthy. You clearly see it. But you also had a picture of your dad as well, and you mentioned that your dad was a heavy drinker. Did that play a part in you picking up, knocking them back as well, trying to be like your dad? And
your dad's your hero, isn't he? And you see your dad drinking, and I was drinking as soon as I could. He was even giving me beers at 13, 14. I thought it was great,
Really?
But yeah, he died 57, 6 years older than me now. So
wow.
And looking back, he was an alcoholic all his life, but he was a funny fella. He was a joker. He was a laugh. He was life and soul of the party, kind of thing. But he died young. He died young, 57,
Yeah.
and cirrhosis of the liver. So yeah, and do you know what? All these people that are like think it's a skill to drink loads and loads. It's all right now. It's going to catch up with you because it is
Yeah.
so toxic. It inflames your body so much. Um, so I'd just say to the young lads, don't wait as long as I did. If you're 32, 30, whatever, and you've got a wife and kids, it's time to have a look at what you're doing if you're still going to the pub Friday, Saturday night with your mates, because you've done your 20s, you went to the nightclubs, you had a good time with alcohol, but you need to start looking at what's important now, your wife and your kids, because it breaks up so many marriages and relationships, alcohol as well.
Yeah.
And so many kids suffer as well. Like my mum and dad split up when I was 6, so I know all about the kids. The kids suffer, and it's all alcohol. Why? Just I say to you, if there's anyone listening here now in their early 30s, get off it, find another hobby, get out. And I was saying, if you're a group of plasterers, I mean, everyone says, right, we'll meet up in the pub. We'll meet up in the pub. That's the social thing. We do that. But I'd say if there was a 6 plasterers in a gang or more, all do an activity, all like book an activity, like sea fishing, or you could go karting. There's loads of things you could do, and each fella book an activity, get the money off the other lads, and do that once a month. There's footy golf now. I did that the other week. That's such a laugh,
Yeah.
and it's great, and no beer involved, and it's proper connection.
Yeah.
When that beer is involved, 3 or 4 pints, talking a
The
load of rubbish.
conversation goes downhill quite quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So in your experience, Jason, what would you say some of the early warning signs are if people are listening now or watching, they're thinking, I've been knocking them back quite heavy for a few years. What were some of the early warning signs for yourself when you thought, I've got a problem here and I need to stop it?
Well, just the motivation and the waistline, and maybe arguments in the house, and relationships suffer. If you're not getting up on a Saturday morning, pushing your kids on the swing and enjoying it, and you're thinking, oh God, how long do I have to stay here for? I need hair of the dog. You've got to start looking at it then, because you should be enjoying your kids or your grandkids or whatever, and making the most of it. So if your relationships with your kids, if your kids are not getting the best dad they possibly can,
Yeah.
you need to. And there's people out there now thinking, well, no, I ain't doing as much with my kids as I should be or I want to be, because we all got good intentions. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Friday night comes, get pissed up. Saturday, yeah, I have to go to the park, but I'll only go for half an hour. Just, you should be looking and revaluing what's important in your life. And
Yeah.
alcohol, just get rid of it.
And I suppose talking from my own experience as well, coming towards the end of a shift, because like you, I started drinking very young, 16, 17. I was down in the town drinking with my mates. It was all fun and games. But being a plasterer, we'll go back to plastering as well. A lot of guys, they're gonna crush a few cans because it takes the edge off the aches and the pains as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I think some of it might be a little bit of almost, I wouldn't say self-medicating, but using booze to sort of ease that tension in the body from doing the meterage, or you might have had a day doing sand and cement, and your shoulders are shot, and you and I know if you have a couple of Stellars, that pain's gone, hasn't it?
Yeah. I'll tell
So
you what though, I'm 51 now and I play squash 2-3 times a week. I'm running around like a young fella compared to that. Booze is causing inflammation in your body, and that's adding to the pain. If you
okay,
ate healthy and laid off the booze, half of them pains wouldn't be even there, I bet, or they'd be a lot less.
so the pain, we might be using booze to take the edge off the pain, but it's the booze that's actually causing it in the first place.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't be helping. It wouldn't be helping because it's inflammation in the body, and all pain and disease is caused from inflammation, isn't it?
And it dehydrates you as well, doesn't it?
It dehydrates you. That's the thing with the pharmaceutical companies as well. They must put something in it. You say, I've always said, oh well, wait, come on, I've got a thirst on, lads. Let's get going. Come on, let's get finished. You go in the pub. Does that clench your thirst? No. You want another one, don't you? And another one. And that's why you wake up in the night with a dry throat, gasping for water, because it dehydrates you. It doesn't hydrate you. I think that's a thing from the breweries to get you to drink more.
Absolutely. So back to the warning signs then. If it's affecting family life, you're arguing with the missus, you just mind's consumed with let's get back on the booze instead of enjoying, the time you've got and living in the moment kind of thing. When it gets deeper than that, when it goes a bit more sinister, I spoke to you yesterday about a mate of mine that I noticed was on a slippery slope downward with the Stella. And one day we were at work, and I noticed that in his van he had a can of Stella in his door that he'd been sipping, and I thought that's not right. Fair enough, he's having a few tinnies, 6-7 p.m. after work, but now he's bringing it to work, and that's not good. And I mentioned that he was also hiding it as well. So when you get to that stage, I mean, at what stage in your drinking do you maybe need outside help, where you're thinking, I ain't going to have to do it on my own because I'm too far gone?
I tell you what, though, yeah, I know what you mean, dependency, but a lot of people are not dependent. Only 1 in 10, or I think it's 1 in 10 drinkers are dependent, heavy drinkers, or drinking with issues. So a lot of people are in the cycle of drinking and then waking up with loads of anxiety the next day, and then they're going to work, they're having a shite day at work, they're feeling a bit down, so they come home. What do? I've had a shite day at work. In the fridge again, a few more beers, 4 or 5 cans. So they're going to work the next day feeling shite. If they're feeling shite because they were drinking the night before, so it's a cycle. It's an ongoing cycle. If you take a break, most people can take a break. Most people aren't dependent. A lot of people that think they got drinking issues, if they get in the right mindset, they can because they can have a month off and see how break that cycle, break the cycle of feeling rubbish, having a few beers, feeling rubbish, having a few beers, because anxiety, you drink because you're anxious, or you're feeling a bit anxious when you get home about pricing jobs or invoicing, or they owe me money, but alcohol will make that worse, makes anxiety worse. So it just postpones it. When you have them couple of 3-4 beers at night, you might, I feel all right now, I've had a few beers. It's only postponing it till the next day, and then it's back again. So when you take a break after 3 or 4 days of being anxious, it will lift, and then you feel all right, and then you won't need the beers to, I'm every video on my page, I'm on about take a month off the booze, see how you go. You will feel so good. First week you won't, first 4 or 5 days you won't, but after that you feel great.
Do you think it's a cultural issue in the UK, like this binge drinking that we've got? And because my missus is Italian, and we've been over to Sicily a few years back, and obviously you hear about the Brits like their boozy Brits and stuff, but until I went over there and actually witnessed a different culture. So we were sat around a big dinner table, and there were kids with little shots of wine, and you'd go on a night out till 1 or 2 in the morning, but it'd all be just eating a little bit of wine, have a beer, eat some more. The focus wasn't on let's get pissed, let's get smashed. It was just on the more socializing. But of course, a night out down the town, where Coventry, where I live, it's a different picture. Do you think it's like a cultural issue within the UK where we're sort of wired to just get smashed and get as many shots down as we can?
England's renowned all around the world for its drinking, boozed up culture. like in Italy, they'll drink wine with a meal.
Yeah.
In England, we'll drink 2 or 3 bottles of wine before we go to the pub. You know. So yeah, and over here, wet the baby's head. Someone's had a
Yeah.
baby, wet the baby's head. Funerals, weddings, birthdays, feeling sad, feeling happy, everything. Have a pint. Let's get pissed.
Yeah.
It's a sunny day. Let's get pissed. It's a rainy day. Let's get pissed. Let's just get pissed. Whatever.
It's
Just
snowing.
make yeah, yeah.
Right, I'm going to touch on, just say hello to the guys. Let's have a look. So we've got Josh Brown. Good morning, Josh. Josh says you need to try and cut it in half and then half it again until you finally off it. I've had mates in the trade, big drinkers, and now suffering with gout. Half of them look like they're 20 years older. Gout, Jason, have you ever had that issue, gout?
Yeah, we'll just touch on that. If you are dependent, you need to cut down gradually. A lot of people can just stop, but a lot of people, no, not a lot of people, but some people, they need to cut down gradually if they think they're dependent on alcohol. If they've been drinking 6, 7, 8 pints a night for every night, I think they need to really go and see a doctor to detox or cut down gradually by 10% a day, because you can have seizures and all sorts and die even. Alcohol is the only drug out there that you can die from withdrawal. You can't die from heroin withdrawal. You can die from heroin overdose and crack, but you can't die from withdrawing off heroin. Of alcohol.
That's scary, isn't it? That's really scary.
So sorry, what was the other bit of that question? What was the question? Sorry.
It wasn't a question. He was just saying that
gout.
They look 20, gout. Suffering with gout, and they look 20 years older than what they actually are through drinking.
Yeah, I think gout's inflammation as well, isn't it? It's all part of I've heard that myself, that alcohol causes gout, and that's really painful.
Yeah.
I haven't had it myself, but yeah, ages you. I mean, when I was drinking, and I've seen lots of people give up drinking and they look younger. They get younger. Their face is less puffy and red. They get the normal color back. They lose all the puffiness, and their skin's hydrated, whereas before it was dehydrated. So you can actually look younger than you did when you give up alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking much healthier now when you compare it to the images that you shared recently on your group. As I say, you could really see it in your face compared to yourself. And that's going back 10 years, isn't it?
Yeah, my face was beetroot red. Red it was. My face was red, just all blotchy and red and puffy. And yeah.
Ross Courier comments, day 10 of being alcohol free. Longest I've been since I was 18. He's joined your group on Facebook, and he says that you've helped him loads, and he's feeling loads better.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's great.
Good morning, Raymond. Good morning, Bibbs. Good morning, Imad. Ross says he's got gout. I've got gout as well. But again, he's feeling great now since joining your group. And he says the AA has helped him out as well.
Yeah. Good.
Jason, positive psychology. What is positive psychology? Since you've knocked booze on the head, you've bettered yourself, and you decided to, you've seen the results that you've got, and you've thought, I'm going to help others now and do this, and you decided to dive into positive psychology, and you've actually got a diploma in that now. What is positive psychology?
Well, it's just helping people enhance their well-being, enhance their strengths, and apply strengths, and move people from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Because as a child, we're in a growth mindset. If you fall off your bike, you get back up and get on it, and if you fall over, graze your knee, you don't worry about it. But as we get older, we get into a fixed mindset. We stay where it's nice and cozy. We watch the same news, read the same papers, don't push ourselves out of our comfort zone. Limited beliefs about what you can do is all in that comfort zone. But if you push yourself out of that comfort zone, you can, achieve all your goals you know, I was left school with no education, no exams, and I always thought I never thought I was intelligent, and I thought, oh, well, I didn't do no exams because I didn't try.
Yeah.
And I got a coach say to me, I said, I'd love to be a coach like you, help people, and put my head on my pillow at night knowing that I'm helping people. He said, you can. And I goes, well, I can't because I left school with no exams. And he said, did you want to learn at school? I goes, no, I wanted to get on sites with the boys plastering. He goes, do you want to be a coach? I goes, yeah. He said, there's a difference. And when you give up alcohol, when you take a break from the booze, you can do that course. You can do whatever you want because you'll have so much motivation and clear head, and the fog will lift. And I give up the booze, and I thought, I can do that. I reckon I can. And I did. And I did the first assignment, and I passed. I did the second assignment. And yeah, so.
And doing all the physical, because you've lost a lot of weight, and I know you go walking and hiking and things like that.
Yeah.
So the changing your physiology, as well as the boozing, I suppose it's all going to play a part in all the endorphins and the motivation and the energy levels. And then you're in a stronger position to think, right, I'm going to better myself. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to learn a new skill. Whereas when you're low energy, low motivation, low mood, the last thing on your mind is, I'll go and get a diploma in this, because your mind's consumed with booze, isn't it? And getting back on it.
You're just struggling to survive. You're not thriving, you're surviving, and you're just getting through the day, aren't you? And getting through the next day. And when you take a break from the booze, you will see how much is holding you back, believe me, because I couldn't believe I'm a different person than I am now. Than I was. I'm just 100% different person. Crazy. It's how, if I look back at some of the pictures about how I used to be and remember how I used to be, it's just a different world.
Yeah. Let's talk about your Facebook group, Life's Better Without Alcohol. How did it come about? And are you surprised at the amount of people that have poured into the group since you first started it?
Yeah, it's 3,000 people in there now. It's called Life's Better Without Alcohol, not Life is Better Without Alcohol. It's called Life's Better Without Alcohol. And yeah, I'm in there doing loads of videos and loads of posts and sharing my experiences, and there's people posting sharing their own stories, and there's some really vulnerable people in there, and they're getting so much support off the other people in there. It's just a really kind of like a community now. It's a great place, and I've had to get rid of idiots in there that are in there just for trolling or got no interest in changing their relationship with alcohol. And I'm trying to fish them out. I'm fishing them out every day or every other day. So what is left is a really good group where people can share and get advice and support, and it's really good.
I've got the T-shirt on getting rid of trolls. So if you need hand with a group in any way, it's a massive problem, not just in trade groups, but in any Facebook group at all, anywhere on any topic. It's a massive issue.
Yeah, it's
so I think you're doing a good job of building that culture up, because every time I'm on there, it's all positive, and you got your videos of you helping and coaching people. I've not seen any trolling or anything like that. So
yeah.
Within your group, are you planning to sort of start helping people on more of a one-to-one basis? I've seen one of your videos where you were saying, look, I'm going to start this coaching program.
I'm
already like a 30-day where you go on walks and things like that. Was it?
Yeah. I'm doing a bit of coaching now, but I want to do a 30-day alcohol-free challenge where I'll be in there every day doing lives on a different topic, and trying to get people, because there's people in that group, they get to 10 days, 12 days, and then they go back to day one again. And I've seen quite a bit of that. So I thought, right, let's do a 30-day challenge. I'll be in there every day doing a different topic. Like the first day, it'll be your whys. Why are you drinking? Write down your whys. Second day, it'll be the benefits and the consequences of your drinking. And I'll just be putting all my positive psychology, growth mindset in there, kind of thing, to get people to 30 days. Once people get to 30 days, they'll see the benefits. When after a week or so, they think, oh well, my mates are down the pubs, or I'm not.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people think they're missing out. People think they're missing out. Where you've got to, if you want to change, you've got to change that kind. You've got to say goodbye to that old person that you were drinking in the pub with your mates every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And people think they're missing out, but are they really missing out? Is it really fun? And we'll go through all that in the monthly alcohol-free challenge. We'll perceive benefits. Is it really fun?
What are your views on moderation? So, I mean, because a lot of guys have sort of addictive personalities, don't they? Where they can't just have a glass of wine or half a sherry or whatever. It's going to have to be 4 cans, 5 cans, 6 cans.
Yeah.
Because you tried that, didn't you? And it didn't work.
Yeah.
Right?
If you've got drinking issues, hardly anyone can go from drinking issues with alcohol, excessive drinking, to moderating. It doesn't work. Moderation means you're not having as many as you want. You're having 2 or 3, but you want 10. Yeah.
Okay.
So that muscle, that willpower muscle, will finally go, and it don't work because it will consume you. You think, right, I'm having 2 or 3 on a Wednesday, then I'll have 2 or 3 on a Friday, and you'll be thinking about them 2 or 3. And then when you get to the pub, if you do, I never did. I said I'll have 2 or 3, and then when I got finished the 3rd, I'm getting the 4th, because you're dealing with a different person. Then you're negotiating with a different person after he's had 3 pints. So it never worked for me, but it also consumes you. And in the alcohol-free space with my alcohol-free coaching, hardly ever works. No moderation, it will just consume you, your thoughts. And it's so much easier to go, no, I'm not drinking. It doesn't consume you half as much.
Yeah. Jumping back into the comments, Jace. So I put a post up previously in the week promoting this podcast, and we've had a lot of interaction on that post. So I'm just going to read off a few of the comments from the lads. There's quite a sad comment from Wayne Cox. How are you, Wayne, if you're watching? He's a good friend of his, actually took his own life, sadly, due to drink and depression. So that just goes to show why we're doing this podcast, Jace, at the end of the day. And what happens when you ignore problems and everyone around you ignores the problem. So that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this podcast. We know it's a massive issue, especially within the trade.
And we got to talk about mental health. There's a big stigma around man up. I got it when I was younger. If you come in and you say, oh, I split up with my girlfriend. Oh, man up. What's wrong with you? Be a man, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they think they can't. That's the only time they've ever reached out to their colleagues, and they've got, oh, man up. Some people are devastated their girlfriend left them.
So they're just shutting down the conversation. They won't even go there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they go and drink, and they get more depressed, and some of them take their own life. There's so many people not here today from drinking and thinking they had to man up because they couldn't talk. And they end up getting so depressed, drinking, and it adds to the depression. And then they kill themselves. So I think the man up stigma, plasterers are roughy tufty, aren't they? We're meant to be, it's like a culture thing as well. Plasterers work hard, grafters, meant to be hard. If you're hard, strong in the head, strong in the arm, thick in the head, I used to say. I think you must have heard that saying as well.
I've heard it a few times.
Yeah. But people need to know that. I think if someone says, if a young lad or any lad, 30, 40, I've split up with the missus, or just, oh yeah, mate, do you want to talk about it? Do you know? Instead of saying man up.
Things are slowly changing in that way, but you're right. It's still a huge issue, and a lot of guys have still got the old school mindset, haven't they? Of like, man up, don't talk about anything, pull your socks up and crack on in silence. That way, like you said, you're just pushing all the feelings down, aren't you?
I think the bosses, whoever's got a few employees, he's the one that should say, listen, lads, if you ever got any problems, come and see me. Yeah, don't be frightened to come and talk to me.
Well, this is a good point, because this is why people are drinking heavy in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's probably an issue that's caused them to become anxious or stressed or whatever, and have turned to the booze to change their mood, I suppose.
Yeah. And that's true as well. When you stop drinking, you will feel better because you'll have a motivation back. But then, because you've been self-medicating for many years, because people have problems and they self-medicate, when you stop drinking, that's when the real work starts on yourself, your self-development. You'll sit with feelings that you haven't felt because you've been suppressing them with booze. So
Yeah.
there's hard work to be done with your mental health. Your physical health will improve straight away. You'll feel more stronger and motivated. But your mental health is where you've got to do the work. You've got to get out in nature. That's what I did. I've read in my Audible library, I've got 57 books on self-development. I was just out with my earphones on, walking in nature,
Brilliant.
sorting all my head out, So
all them demons that you're pushing down, when you stop drinking, they'll come back up to say hello. And you need
yeah,
to deal with them.
they've always been there. They've
Yeah.
always been there, and they'll come back up to say hello, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a positive comment here. Rob Fowley comments, good morning, Rob. He's been sober for 800 days today. Hands down, the best thing I've ever done. I've achieved more than I could ever have imagined. Fair play, Rob.
There you go. There's proof again.
Let's have a look. Tom Ford comments, when I was younger, I loved the buzz of drinking after a graft. Probably thirst more than anything. Some good laughs, thankfully. As I got older and I got married and had kids, I managed to keep it for social times only. Also, money was tight, so family comes first. It's basically a thing you do, big time or not much. Okay, in small quantities, like anything else. Well, like you said about moderation, not everyone can do it, can they?
Not everyone, and he's a lucky fella if he's done it. He's good because there's so many people that try and they've got to try. It's their journey. Every person that stopped drinking wanted to moderate. That's our goal, but we couldn't do it.
Michael Wright is comment. Hi, Mike. He's just said, I know I drink too much, and that he's just left it as that comment. So at least he's been honest about it, and that's why we're doing this podcast. What would you say to Michael? All he said is, I know I drink too much. So what were some first steps that he can take to knock it down a little bit and reduce it?
Write down his whys. If anyone wants to reduce drinking or change their relationship with alcohol, you've got to write down your whys, whether it be your kids, your family, yourself. If you can't look after yourself, you can't look after your family. So, put a pen to paper. That's what I'd say, because if you put a pen to paper, it comes alive. If you write it down, why you want to, and then write down the benefits of drinking, what you get out of drinking, and then write down the consequences, and then have a look at that sheet of paper, because the consequences will be 3 or 4 times bigger than the benefits. And once you've got it out of your head on paper, you can have a look at that, and that's a good start.
Yeah. Jason Brown's on. In my opinion, alcohol is the worst drug on the planet. It destroys the alcoholic and their families. It's the only drug, if addicted to, that you can just stop, as your body could just shut down, like you said earlier. Just because it's legal, most think it's okay to get drunk and act in an idiotic way or even a violent way. Apologies on this little rant. Like most things, if you can do something in moderation, then it's okay. But alcohol is a depressant in itself. I've been a recovering alcoholic for 10 years and counting, and many more to come. And if you don't need, you don't need an alcoholic drink to have a good time. Yeah.
You don't. Honestly,
Good man,
don't.
Jason.
Yeah, good man. It's people going to the doctors feeling depressed, and the doctor's giving them antidepressants, and they're drinking alcohol, which is a depressant. So there's a tug of war going on there. And I'd say to anyone, if I was a doctor, take a month off the booze. You won't need to. I probably won't see you again, because you'll realise how well you're doing without it, and how your depression will lift and your anxiety will lift.
Yeah. Steve Smith. I know you like a beer, Steve. Steve says, I love a drink. Work still comes first, though. I don't smoke. He's tried most things in his youth. Back in the 70s, he's never touched dope. Everyone to their own. He doesn't drink tea or coffee. And he tries to keep healthy eating wise. So, yeah, again, I suppose it comes down to balance and stuff like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's so many people that can live a good life with both. There's people that have a few beers and go to work 10 out of 10 motivated and have a good family life.
Mick Curry, never been a huge drinker, albeit I love the stuff on a social level. Certain drinks. I used to come home from work, and the missus would ask if you want a tea, and I'd always have a bottle of fizz, which was his champagne, he says. He often paid huge sums to drink the best on many occasions. He spent up to 300 quid on a couple of bottles of the stuff. Wow. Even spent, I don't know if this is a wind up, but he says he's even spent just shy of £1,000 in Venice on a couple of bottles of wine. Are you a plasterer or footballer?
Yeah.
That was yesteryear. These days it's rare. Usually a bottle around the barbecue. Beside that, a bottle of beer on hot days, and that's him done. Yeah,
And
again.
you know what? Them 0.0 beers now, every brand are doing them. Every single brand nearly are jumping on the bandwagon. Because why? Because they're selling like hotcakes.
Yeah.
People are realizing that on a nice sunny day, you can have a few beers in the garden. I have a few beers. I've got 0.0s in the fridge. You can go up and drive after 2 or 3 0.0s. You can go and pick the kids up if you want. It's a game changer.
Game changer. What are your recommendations then for these alcohol-free beverages? I mean, I would say again, if you haven't tried the Guinness, lads, give it a go. You'll be shocked because I honestly can't tell the difference.
Yeah. There's Estrella on draft in my local. I'm living in Ireland at the moment. I'm from Oxford, but the 0.0s over here are way more. The UK is lacking behind Ireland. You get like Heineken on pint Heineken 0.0. You get a pint of Guinness with a nice big creamy head. You get Estrella, and do you know what? I think in 10 years' time, it's just going to be like half and half. I reckon it's going to come like the tide is turning. They're doing no booze cruises now. They're open bars up everywhere where people just want to drink and there's no drunken people around. It's just the tide is definitely turning. And I think in like smoking, there's adverts years ago with doctors smoking, smoke these brand, and look how there was.
Crazy, isn't it?
And now look, smoking is hardly anyone smokes, or it's a lot less than it was. And I think alcohol, in 20 years' time, I think there'll be loads of 0.0s, half and half maybe people on 0.0s, and it's like having a decaf coffee. People like coffee, but a lot of people drink decaf now. People like beer, but people are drinking non-alcoholic beer now. Like I said, I went out with my mate Martin the other Friday. We had 4 Guinnesses, and we were laughing and joking, and just forget you're not even drinking alcohol. You're having a better laugh. The conversation's good
because they're using it to socialise, aren't they, as well? And of course, when you're together, it don't take 2 or 3 points can lead to 10 easy, can't it? Where at least I suppose the whole goal of meeting up with your mates is so you can make plans to do more things. Like you said, you could go karting, paintballing, you could go climb a mountain instead of just sitting in a pub getting on it and getting rat-assed and then wiping out your Saturday and your Sunday.
Yeah,
it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and them 0.0s, there's no pull to have another one. There's no like.
Exactly.
I went down and got a haircut. I just went and had a couple of 0.0 Guinnesses and walked out of there. No, if I had a couple of real with alcohol, I'll be it. I want 3, I want 4, I want 5, because there's alcohol in it. The highly addictive substance, alcohol. But without that in it, it's just nice to have a couple of beers. Yeah, it's great. I think they're really good. And do you know what? They are helping so many people on my group. I mean, there's other people on the group that have been alcohol-free for 10 years and they think, oh, that's a trigger. But there's different horses for different courses. If you think that, don't go near them. But if you're just getting off the alcohol now, if you're just thinking about changing your relationship now, I'd try the 0.0s.
Yeah,
they are a game changer. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, Jason, the hour's almost up. I just want to say thank you on behalf of myself and Trowel Talk. Thank you so much for parting with your time this morning and coming on and having a chat. How can people stay in touch, mate?
Yeah, it's their Facebook group is called Life's Better Without Alcohol. And if you join that group, I'm in there all the time, most days, doing something, a video or a post, and just come in and see the community. There's a great friendly community. It's unbelievable. I'm so happy and proud of that group that I set it up, because I just see people's lives changing. And on the posts, you'll see my life's changed since I've come to this group. I've realised that alcohol is rubbish, and I haven't drank since, and it's great. It's brilliant. It's brilliant to see there's people coming there as well, and they're drinking a lot, and you see them their journey, and they're helping the ones that have just come in now.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So
yeah,
you can actually see the results unfolding, over time. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What I'll do, I'll put a link in this post in the comments. Lads, jump on, get involved, go and join Jason's group. I'm on there. It's a fantastic group, positive, just like Trowel Talk as well. No knobheads on there. Jason, it's been a pleasure. Have yourself a nice day today, and thank you again for joining us, mate. All the best.
Cheers, Stu. Take care, buddy.
Take care. Thank you.